Yes, it's a clickbaity title and thumbnail, but give me a break. Anyway, today I'm talking about the first fragrance I've bought in nearly 3 months. So yeah, find out what it is in a bit. Word to your mother, my name's Steve, this channel is Fragrance Riches. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it, as always, especially for those of you that are wondering where the fuck I've been. Anyway, today I'm talking about the first fragrance I've purchased in like nearly 3 months. I've just been like, not fussed really. It's not that I'm not fussed about fragrances, I've just been really enjoying the ones I have. I've been enjoying my collection. I've got a lot of good fragrances now, at least to me. Obviously, a lot of people will go, well, that's shit, mate. But for me, they're really good. They're like 9 and 10 out of 10 fragrances that I really enjoy. So it puts real pressure now for me to find like a fragrance that is worthy of joining that gang and kind of coming into my collection. I smell a lot of fragrances and I just think, yeah, it's nice, but it doesn't bring anything to my sort of collection, doesn't change the game for me. It's just a nice fragrance. I've got fragrances that are better, so why don't I just wear those? So it's been a few months, I just got to the point where I fancied buying something. So I thought, I'd treat myself to a new fragrance. I wanted it to be kind of significant somehow, noteworthy, something kind of decent. And one that came to my head that I've smelt ages ago and I remember enjoying it at the time and I, for whatever reason, never got around to buying was Eau Sauvage from Dior. So I've obviously smelt this before. I couldn't tell you if it was the EDT or the Parfum that I'd smelt before. And I've also had, like, I remember getting a sample of a clone of this in the calendar fragrances that I did years ago. And I sort of really quite liked it. So I thought, this is kind of worth spending my money on. I put a little survey in, I kind of spoke about this on the Scent Geeks podcast, went in the Facebook group, put a little survey. Loads of people recommended getting the Parfum version, which made sense to me because this is a little bit more modern rather than that sort of classic sort of fougere from the EDT. It's kind of, the EDT by all accounts is more similar to the classic fougere from the 60s, where this one's kind of taken that DNA and modernised it and added a bit of depth to it. So this made sense to me. So I went for this and I think it cost me 50 quid. So due to events involving a visit to A&E, I had to stop the recording of this video and I've picked it up again about a week later, so just FYI on that one. Anyway, so Eau Sauvage then, obviously it goes without saying this is the latest formulation, so I can't comment how this compares to the pre-2017 version, so don't kind of ask me about that because I just can't comment on it, I'm afraid. Now, when this first arrived, my very first reaction from kind of smelling it, as I say, it's not a blind buy, but I'm not familiar with it. It's been a while since I smelt it, so I was kind of remembering how it smelled. So my very first smell of it, I was kind of smelt it and I thought, oh, that's good, but it's got an element of talky balls about it, like stronger than I remember. Now, I've mentioned this on my channel loads of times, so for those of you that are relatively new, the whole analogy of talky balls comes from when I was a kid and my dad would go in the bathroom and he would spray some old school style clones, like fougere style, even things like Brut or Old Spice. He'd kind of go in the bathroom, spray all that, and he would kind of have it after a shower and then like talc his body, like, and then there would just be this plume of talc when you went in after him and it just kind of smelled of Old Spice or Brut or anything. So basically any kind of old school style sort of fougere that's a bit talky reminds me of my dad's talky balls. So yeah, I really should see a therapist about that. Anyway, so that is an analogy for like an old school style fougere, and this definitely has that. Though this is supposedly a more modernised version of the Parfum compared to the EDT, it's certainly a fougere in its style, so don't expect like something very designery and kind of sexy, like, I don't know, like Dior Eau Parfum or something like that. So this is very much a fougere. What I will say though is it's at its most talky ball-ish in the first spray, and it does kind of dissipate and settle down, and it kind of just eases into this very clean lavender-based fougere, which I think would work really well kind of in an office in that classic kind of gentlemanly environment with the shirts, maybe even a suit, but yeah, white shirt in an office. I think this is obviously where it's kind of going to come into its own for the gentleman. I got my wife to smell this and needless to say, she was not a fan. She's getting better because she did pick up on the lavender. Straight away she went, oh, is there lavender in that? And then she sort of said, oh, it smells like an old woman's house. So yeah, I think that association of lavender just kind of made her think of an old woman, and she didn't like it. I kind of got her to smell it again when it would settle down a little bit more, and she was just like, no, don't like it, don't wear that around me, I really don't like it. So yeah, no panties dropped in that regard. So for me, as I touched upon earlier, this does settle down, and that talky ballness does dissipate a little bit, but it does definitely remain. So you do have to have some sort of appreciation for like a fougere style fragrance, but to me, it's not all out fougere. It's on the spectrum of kind of really heavy fougere that's not for me. It's kind of just about in that safe zone. So I would wear this. And it's a very well done fragrance. As I said, it's a very clean, it's that lavender comes through very strongly, and it's kind of with the oak moss and the sort of green nature to it, it just comes across as a very gentlemanly scent. I would wear this to work, kind of in the office, but I think you've got to go sort of easy on the trigger, because this performs like an absolute mofo. Like one little spray just to kind of smell it just like lasted me like all night. I could smell it the next morning. It got to the point where I was like, it's not wearing off, I'm gonna have to physically scrub this off. And that was one spray. So don't worry about performance, because this is an absolute beast. It projects really hard, performs incredibly well. So performance is, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many hours it lasted, but it projects, it performs, it lasts. Don't worry about that. For performance, yes, tick. So needless to say, this fragrance is incredibly well done. It's very good quality. It doesn't smell cheap in the slightest. It smells very smooth, it's very well blended, and it's well balanced. Though I do think the lavender is very prominent to me. I don't find it disproportionately prominent. It blends in nicely with the rest of the notes, particularly the sort of oak moss, as I said, and the greener elements, and to kind of complement it quite well to work with this style of fragrance. So I think it is a very good fragrance that I could wholeheartedly recommend if you are like me, where you typically like more designery style fragrances, but you would like a solid fougere in your collection. I'd wholeheartedly recommend this. This and Gravitas Pour Homme, Mr. Smelly's brand, Norton & Wilson. I would recommend that and this as a solid option for a fougere that kind of definitely is a fougere, but is a kind of more of a safer fougere with some appeal, you know, more mass appeal, for the want of a better phrase. So yeah, wholeheartedly recommend this. Very good quality, but I mean, if I gave it a score, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10, because it's a good fragrance. But again, that's the problem which I keep discussing lately, is it's not a 9 out of 10, it's not a 10 out of 10. I don't love it. Perhaps I might grow to, I don't know. But I've got so many fragrances that I do love that are 9s out of 10s, that are 10 out of 10s. I don't know how often I'm going to reach for this. So I just don't know if this is going to last in my collection in reality, because I just don't think I'm going to reach for it. Thanks for watching, I do really appreciate it as always. Are you like me, you're not really into fougères, in which case what is your kind of fougere option? What is your go-to fougere? Let me know, comment below, I'd really like to hear about it. If you haven't, do hit that subscribe button, and a like is always appreciated, it helps the channel grow. I'm going to try and go for 4,000 subscribers this year, I think it's achievable, but we'll see. Thanks again for watching, I'll see you for a video soon, take care, much love.